Good morning, everybody. We're going to do a simple lesson today, but I wanted to do a demonstration of the 5 lines, which we hear about often, but sometimes for myself, I find it sometimes difficult to visualize. So for instance, you can see the feet. We see that from the heel to the hip is one line, and I have a blue stick to demonstrate that. From the heel to the other is also another line. And there's a line going through the skull, which is the spine. That's line 1, 2, this is 3. This is 4, right there. And then 5 is on the other side. But I wanted to demonstrate another 2 lines that we use, but maybe don't see as often. You probably feel it, but sometimes a visual helps. It's a bigger line as an X, maybe a little bit like that. And it's not as clear because we have a longer trunk, and whoever has a long trunk, you can see it's some kind of line there and some kind of line that connects, that connects the hip to the shoulder. And as we do these lessons, sometimes for our back, we find it, we can, move our pelvis through the body to get the line. And many times it's a little easier when we bend our knees because our backs are feeling a little bit more comfortable. And if you press through one foot, let's say, for instance, this right foot, something happens in the pelvis. And let me bring the computer down so you can see it a little bit clearer. Here's the pelvis. And when it's flat, the pelvis is like this. And when the knees are up, the pelvis is more like that. So when you step through with the foot through, because you know that with both feet, you can go a little this and that. And there's an arch and flattening in the back and goes up the spine. Okay, and then you reverse it, goes that way. And 3 and 9 will go like this and this. And when you press with your foot, it's not exactly straight up. It might be a little bit at an angle. So maybe it's a different clock orientation. So if I press with this leg that's near the camera, this hip may come up a little bit. This side comes up, and the opposite side may go down a little bit. So maybe it's more like a 7 to 1 o'clock or 7:30 to 1:30. And the opposite way, this other hip would come up, and then the other side goes down. This goes down as this comes up. So it's still a clock, right? There's 6:12 this way, 3, 9 straight across, and then our diagonals from one corner to the other, and this corner up to the opposite. And I just want to, I want to know if there's any questions. It's just an extension of the clock lesson. Okay, and how far up does this go? I'll just do a little bit, see if it works. Demonstration. You tell me if it works. See which side is easier. I think this side. If this goes this way, it's a little harder to see. But this goes this way. Right pelvis comes up, left upper pelvis goes down. There's a turn in the spine. And then something happens up towards the head. And it's actually maybe turning this way. And or the other way from the other leg. This one this way. This turn, 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 the rib turn, and something happens to the arms. Okay, that's it. Your question is, does this turn, what was it again? The whole thing at once?
Turn. Yes.
Okay, does it go like this, or does it turn one at a time?
Right.
Okay. If I can get the camera down a little lower, I will try to show you instead of, and then you tell me, okay? So one hip goes up, the right hip goes up, then this turns. So tell me if it goes one at a time or one as a bunch.
It looks like it's going as a bunch.
Sometimes for some people it does, and other people.
The lower vertebrae look like they do it more independently, and then they group it up the further up you go in the spine. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. And if we get more differentiated through the ribs, maybe it'll go a little bit at a time, separate. But ribs are a little stiffer, aren't they? They're all in one bunch. So does that, go ahead.
So Janet, so
Yes.
let me, so is this, so if you lift the right hip up, does the line go from the left hip, the cross line go from the left hip to the right shoulder as you turn?
It may seem like that, and you're going to explore that so that you, let me see, lift this up a little higher. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
It may
Okay.
be that way. For some people, it's not going to be this clear because their arm doesn't like to be that high. Is that there? Can you get there? There. Here's the hip. Left hip to, what, right hip to left arm was your question, or opposite, right?
Right. So
Yeah.
if you lift up the right hip, so is the line going from the left hip to across to the right shoulder?
This is theoretical, and now you're going to explore it in the lesson.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you know, that is a good question. Some people, it could go across, and maybe others go up. So we'll
Oh,
explore it in this lesson.
okay.
So then I'll go back to your question at the end of class, and then you might have a clearer answer.
Okay.
Okay? Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Janet,
Yes?
I have another question.
Sure.
When you demonstrated at the beginning, when we have our feet up, or and we push with our feet so that the hip area moves, right? The spine. So let's say if we don't push with the feet to access that area, but we move it without pushing the feet,
What happens?
yes. Is it less mobile?
That is a perfect in-between question for the lesson. So let's do that in the lesson, and then we'll come back to your question too.
Okay.
Because we, you know, maybe something changes, maybe it doesn't. So everybody's asking such great questions. So let's explore, and let's see if you come up with your own answer. And everybody's body is a little different. So let's explore. And stop the recording and let's start playing.